You know what? We are now joined by the lovely. Hi, are you there, darling?
Andy, hi,
Andy,
mate.
are you there?
Hello.
Andy, I am so delighted to talk to you because
She's beside herself, Andy.
I am beside myself. But you've become you've just shot right up in the Richter scale of fame overnight, haven't you?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
So you've already been on radio this morning, somewhere up north, haven't you?
Yeah, just on Radio Leeds, yeah.
In Leeds.
I love of a certain show.
Well, welcome down south, and you are the number. You've got to be down as a number one fan of Coronation Street, surely.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'm sure there'll be lots of people saying, "No, I'm the number one. I'm the number one." But to say, I think I am a pretty big fan. Yeah.
What was the name? Oh dear, I've gone all shouty and thingies. What was the original name of Coronation Street before it was Coronation Street?
Florizel Street, and it was changed thanks to Agnes the tea lady, who sounded like a disinfectant.
Yeah,
and
did.
It was going to be Jubilee Street, and there's always been different stories of how it went from Jubilee Street to Coronation Street. But obviously, we now know it is Coronation Street.
And have you been watching the series out, which was the story of how Coronation Street started with? It's on late night. Was it on Netflix? Because I switch around between that many things. I never know where I've been watching and what I've been watching.
It was on. I think it's on BritBox at the minute, isn't it? And it was repeated on Sunday night as well. Yeah, the Road to Coronation Street.
The Road to Coronation Street. That was it.
That was it. Yeah. I years and years and years ago I used to watch it. I don't watch it now, but watched it years ago with Doris. Oh, there was Doris. Good old Doris Speed was in it, and all sorts of different
favourite,
people.
Pat Phoenix.
Pat Phoenix. I remember Pat Phoenix and Ina Sharples, the both of them having a stand-up row in Coronation Street. And old Ina Sharp was there. She had a silk scarf on, and she was fiddling with it, and they were shouting at each other. Do you know? I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, they had two major rows. One in 61, one in 65. The 65 one, she smashed a window with her handbag.
Oh, I don't remember. No, it must be the first one I got in mind. Oh, yeah. Well, Ina Sharples was... I think Ina Sharples, I remember her being a virtuoso on the euphonium.
Yeah, definitely.
You see...
She was the caretaker of the church hall. The mission hall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The mission.
The mission hall. And you know, we had a neighbour at the time who was very, very like Pat Phoenix in so many ways. Like certainly her mouth was the same.
Was she big? Was she big and blousy?
She was small and blousy.
Oh, small and blousy.
And blonde, but she had one of those mouths that worked like Pat Phoenix's. But I think Pat Phoenix was my favourite because I thought she was beautiful. And you know, whenever you hear them talking about her, in the series, of course, it's Celia Imrie is being in Pat Phoenix, isn't she?
No, she was in the drama. Celia Imrie was Doris. It was Jessie Wallace.
Oh, she was Doris. Oh, yes, it is.
In EastEnders, she was Pat Phoenix.
Yes, no, well done you, yes. Because I was all chuffed. I thought, oh, there's Celia Imrie. That lady should be a dame by now. She's one of our great national institutions. And she's been here in the studio and here in Marlow FM as well,
She has.
She's been lovely. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was lovely sort of seeing the old faces, the Len Faircloughs and all those guys at the time. To the Coronation Street now, to Coronation Street when it started, which do you think is the most watchable?
I think, to be honest, it's watchable anytime because I said the other day that the thing with Corrie is if you put loads of people in a room of different ages, sat in a room, the one show they could compare to is Blue Peter. I say that because every single person in that room will have a time where they have their own Blue Peter presenters, and every single person in that room will have a time when, even if you just watch one episode, they have watched Corrie.
Yes, I agree with that. I would agree with that. I think you're quite right about the Blue Peter thing as well, too, yes. Yes, I was there with there with Petra. When Petra the dog was... when Petra died, like it was a day of mourning.
Yeah.
When Petra died.
Same with Corrie. Any characters that I think pass away, there's certain moments that just stick in your mind.
Yeah.
I know my mum, who vividly remembers Stan Ogden's passing in 1984 when Hilda opens his glasses case.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh, that
Those
was...
moments that stick in your mind.
It does, yes, and she sort of cried into the... I was watching that. It was repeated there the other night, and I was watching that, and I thought... I was tearing up, and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous, but she was brilliant, though, wasn't she? Like, the Hilda Ogden and her singing and their ducks up the wall and all that jazz.
Yep.
You know, she was just such a major character. This latest story, which is a very dark story, you know, about, you know, this bullying man with his... how he's bullied and brought his wife right down to her knees, really. The only thing with it, it's gone on for an awfully long time, hasn't it?
Well, you say that, but I think the reason why it has been extended, I think, because of everything that's gone on the outside. You know, they have to stop filming, and they might have had to...
Oh, you're probably right,
I've read in different articles, they've had to rewrite lots of different things. I mean, I think the producer said they had a big Hollywood stunt plan for the 60th, but that's gone out the window.
Oh,
So
what a
they
shame.
have to extend quite a lot of things
Yeah.
because of everything going on.
Oh, that is a shame. But yes, that's understandable actually as well too, isn't it? But it has been a painful story to watch, though, hasn't it?
It's been incredibly acted, though, and absolutely
yeah.
brilliant. I mean, Jeff is just the actor. When I've seen in interviews, he sounds really lovely, and the fact that he's playing this villain where you absolutely detest the bones of him.
You
Yes,
do.
true, yes.
I bet you he gets abuse when he's out and about doing his shopping. The actor, I mean. I bet you they do, because people get very, very involved. Like they send baby grows when someone has a baby.
Yeah.
And but I watched the court scene the other day.
Me and my mum cheered when.
And I just watched him.
Yeah, me too.
The exchange between him and the defence lawyer, his acting, not the defence lawyer, the actor, the baddie, the Jeff, he really was. I mean, having always had a difficulty learning lines when I've had to do a play years ago, how he remembers all that, and it was brilliant acting, absolutely riveting. In fact, you forgot it was acting, which is what it's all about.
And that's what times is its best as well. When you forget, you just don't move. You just sit, focus. And some episodes I've watched, like from the past and things like that, you just sit and stare like, oh my God.
It was so incredibly fluent and fast. And I mean, the lawyer was good enough, but was he Nasty Jeff? Or you were calling
Jeff.
him?
Yeah.
That was very, very clever. And his wife just sat there, and you could see that she was sort of deflating and crushed just by sitting there. She was acting. It was brilliant.
Yes, no, it's very, very effective, and in fact, that's the scary part, because what they're actually doing is enacting out for real life to somebody else. Somebody else out there is living that life.
Yes,
and that's why it's so impacting, isn't it? At what stage did you get hooked on Coronation Street, Andy?
Well, first episode I remember watching is April '97 when Don Brennan drove Alma into the canal. And we all know
that was so dramatic. Yeah, that was. Yeah. It was awful.
And then when the Richard Hillman storyline, that was the story that really, okay, now I am addicted. And then from then on, it was looking back, it was reading the history, it was trying to find old episodes online to watch and just reliving and learning more. It just built and built since then.
It's odd what you remember from various, because I remember, is it Valerie Barlow getting electrocuted?
1971.
Listen to him.
Listen to him. You're not going to catch this boy out.
No.
Actually, that's one of the few moments I can't watch. When she puts her finger on that, but I can't watch it. It's just too... Oh, no, can't watch it.
Is it because you know what's coming, having watched it many times?
No, we can't watch it. So.
Oh, we can't watch it anyway. No.
You probably feel her pain.
When you look at it, her finger is just so on and, I can't look at it.
I was surprised the other day that old William Roach, how old he is now.
88, unbelievable.
You look at him and you're thinking, I want a bag of the pills that he's taking.
Now, I read something about him, and I know it's a bit of a sort of a spoiler alert, but are they going to get rid of him?
No, it was on news at 10 last night, and he said, about retiring. He said, no, never. As long as I can still do it, I'll do it. And he said himself he wants to be the first 100-year-old actor to be in a programme.
Oh,
which
God bless him.
Wow. I wonder what is his actor's what is his character's age? Do you know? Do you ever know? Do you ever know?
Character was actually born in 1939.
The character. So he was born in 1939. The character.
Yeah, but he was delivered, believe it or not, by Ina Sharples. So the first face he ever saw as a baby is Ina Sharples.
Well, that would finish you off for life, wouldn't it?
Was that something that was in the story? I mean, obviously it's in the story, the pre-story of Ken Barlow.
Yeah.
But so I don't remember. Where was that in the script?
It is. Last year he celebrated the character.
Right.
Celebrated his 80th birthday. So that's what worked it out from there. Because Emily was brought back on a little Zoom chat in the Rovers.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Wow.
And also Darren Little, who was the archivist, he wrote a great book about the war years of the street. So Elsie Tanner coming into the street, moving into the street for the first time.
So there is prehistory in print. That must be that must be a fascinating background. All the bricks and mortar of the history of the street before we ever introduced to it. How marvellous!
Well, you know, they used to have all the houses as well. Just were straight out onto the street. You know, they were just a straight row, weren't they? On the old set, you just opened your door and you were straight. Because my grandmother lived in a house like that, you know, the glorified 2 up, 2 downs. And, you know, if you didn't go out and scrub your step every day, you know, the neighbours talked about you. So all these houses all had a semicircle scrubbed outside their door, like as if it was what
there was a dip in the step.
Yeah. And if you didn't scrub your step, you know, I remember an old aunt coming down to my aunt, and she says, "You haven't done your step this morning, Minnie."
Really?
Yeah.
And you'd have those women, wouldn't you, going, "Oh, look at the state of her nets or curtains and things like that."
They did. They were just like that. Honest to goodness, it was so horrible.
Oh, look at the state of her
I know.
nets.
Well, if you could,
that wasn't a sentence I was going to hear today. When you've been to the set, Andy, how did you find it your first visit to the set?
Well, I was lucky enough to work as a tour guide on the Corrie tour, which was the best job in the world.
Oh, how lovely.
And working there, obviously, I got to go everywhere, inside every single house and things like that. The first day, just stepping on, I'm like, what? This is... best way to describe it is like Dorothy finding the Emerald City. That's the best way.
Oh, that's lovely. The hallowed turf.
So the set,
yeah,
I mean, I don't want to burst the balloon of the bubble of imagination, but when you walk through the door of the front door on the set, on the street, what's behind the front door?
It's just a facade.
I know it's a facade, but is there anything in there? Like,
well, in most of the houses, it's just a shell that keep props or anything like that in.
okay.
Number 5, which Chesney now lives in, there's a staircase that goes all the way up, and then there's a massive long corridor that goes from one end of the street to the other.
Right.
So that's how you've seen characters, like there's a scene where Vera is throwing some of Jack's clothes out the window, so you have to go up number 5 to get there.
Into the long gallery to go and chuck them out.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
there's different rooms where producers used to have conferences and so on.
Oh,
so
I
characters will be
see.
filming down on the street, and the producers can imagine looking out the window saying, "You're next to die."
It's like in Brookside. In Brookside, one of the big houses is the production office.
Oh, really?
Where they do a lot of mixing and editing and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's tiny. I've been visiting there as well. That's just really small.
And what about the pub, though? Is the pub real?
On the street, like I say, just a little shell, and then obviously the inside studio.
Okay.
Again, that is tiny, because what they have to do, they take some of the walls out to get the cameras in, or part of the window out to get the cameras in.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, I can see...
Fascinating, though, isn't it?
You telling us this kind of inside info, I can guarantee that it's not going to make a blind bit of difference to people who are listening to this.
Oh, no.
It's not going to spoil a thing, because once the credits go up and the music plays,
Yeah.
It's as intact as it always was,
Apparently
and it's
it's
as
one of-
real as it always
Yeah,
was.
apparently it's one of the most iconic music songs now. That Neil Brand has been talking about music, and he's got a new programme on, absolutely fascinating, talking about all the old music and all the old theme tunes, and it's been a fascinating programme. I really enjoyed watching it. And Coronation Street, he said, is right up there as number one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Andy, what about your ambitions as an actor on Coronation Street?
I don't know much about the acting side, but what I'd love...
Bit of a walk-on?
Yeah, walk-on or behind-the-scenes activist, the history of it. I don't know how most of it works. I wish to be one of those where, say, if a character's birthday coming up, say, oh, it's that date, we have to start talking about a certain character from the past.
Okay.
Oh, she wish she did that. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Well,
how fascinating!
Send in your CV. I'll write a letter for you, mate. No problem. I'll endorse it. Get you in there. You. How lovely to work immersed in the love of your life in many respects.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It obviously is. Has this cost you a fortune? This devotion?
I started collecting things when I was a teenager, like car boots or charity shops, and since then, definitely over £1,000 spent over the years, without a doubt.
Wow.
Well, mind you, that's not the most expensive, is it?
Have you got some actual props? Old props?
Yeah.
You've not sort of stuck them up your jumper when you're doing your tours, have you?
I actually have, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I actually have the front piece of wood off Jack and Vera's front door. I swear to God.
What? How did you get a front piece of wood?
Did they not miss it?
It's a door panel. Wasn't it a bit drafty for them?
Well, what we had to do, because people knocking on the doors and scraping them and so on, we had to replace some of the frontage of the doors.
Oh, I see.
My boss at the time went, got something for you. I went, right, okay. I said, do you want that? I went, you what? I said, do you want that? I went, yeah, all right. And being Jack and Vera being my favourite couple, I was like, right, I'll take it home.
Oh.
Lovely.
Have you got it framed on your wall?
No, I don't know how I would get it, but it's in two pieces, so I'll have to put it together and so on. But, yeah.
Oh, you'll have to put a note
You
on
can
the
get
back of
some-
it to say what it is.
You can get some deep frames. You can get some frames with sort of
See,
like a bit of a depth to it.
And if I was in your house, I'd be going around finding the wood for the log burner out in the garden. It would disappear.
That's marvellous. My only claim to fame is that I did meet the Harry and Concepta once many years ago.
Ivan Beavis and Doreen Keogh.
You see,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there trying to think of their names, and
The guy's a genius.
many years ago, and
Oh, wow.
it was interesting. It was just
Now, they had a
it was
daughter,
just hello
Lucille,
go-
stidn't they?
Lucille, yes. I'm looking
Yeah,
at the picture
you
now.
and Jennifer Moss.
Yes, Jennifer
looking
Moss.
at the
Yes,
picture now.
that because whenever I was little, whenever Coronation Street started, we didn't have a television, and it wasn't until we moved house and then my dad got a business that we ended up needing sort of a babysitter because I was the eldest, 8 years old, and then down to sort of 4, I think, and so. The television became our babysitter, as it did for people, and so at least you sat us there. We never moved, and that's when I first met Coronation Street. But that was in the days, and my favourite then at that time was Lucille.
Well, I've got a query for our archivist. I'm looking at a screen at the moment. It's got Lucille Hewitt, this kind of thing, and she's a factory worker, right? She's born 4th of May 1949, Residence Island, whatever. Her father Harry Hewitt, and their mother is listed here as Lizzie Hewitt. Who on earth, Lizzie Hewitt?
She passed away on screen, so before we started watching it.
Before
And what it
Concepta.
was... What, sorry?
Before Concepta.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what it was, Harry and his best mate Len Fairclough went on a double date, and with someone called Nellie, and then the other girl was called Lizzie.
Oh.
Len ended up marrying Nellie, Harry ended up marrying Lizzie. They both had Concepta. She passed away, and then 61 he married Concepta.
So Lizzie was a character in Coronation Street.
Yeah, but pre-Concepta.
Pre-Concepta.
So she's in the printed prehistory, yeah.
Wow.
Printed
in
history.
the prehistory.
Yeah, prehistory.
So she wasn't an on-screen character.
No. Because I remember,
Oh.
but she was always hanging around the Walker's place, wasn't she?
Who?
Lucille.
Oh, Lucille, yeah.
Yeah, she was always
Yeah, she was tucked in by the Walkers in '64 when Harry and Concepta left for Ireland after the accident. There was a big axe in '64, and they were part of the characters that got axed.
Oh, right. I think that's when I sort of came in, somewhere around.
And you know,
then.
I've got a fact.
Oh,
How many appearances did Lucille Hewitt make?
Lucille, now she was in it from episode 4, and then she actually didn't make as many appearances as many people think. She did in and out of it, especially in the late 60s, 70s.
Yeah, because she used to go off to Ireland as well.
I can't believe what I'm looking at here, because she's played by, of course, Jennifer. All right, we know.
Stay on, Mike.
And it says number of appearances, 747.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, it seems and all that kind of stuff.
741 episodes. That's what that means.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She was not many as people think. I think one of the only major storylines she had was she had a relationship with Bill Kenwright's character, Gordon Clegg.
Oh, right.
That was one of the major storylines. And then her dad got killed in '67, and then Jennifer Moss was actually quite suddenly.
Talking to Andy is like diving in a swimming pool of Corrie knowledge.
I know. Well,
It's
is.
amazing.
He is a swimming pool of Corrie knowledge. Which actor? I presume because of his longevity that it's Ken Barlow has done the most episodes. Is it?
Yeah, it is Ken. Yeah.
Do you know how many episodes that he's actually appeared in?
He is. Hold on. Actually, over. I know it's over 4,500. I do know that much.
Wow.
Wow.
I think it actually goes Ken, Gail, Rita as the top 3.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Rita, yes, because of course, you almost forget how long Rita's been around as well too.
I think Gail was on the radio this
And
morning.
Gail, because she's actually started as a young kid in there. There's 3 or 4 of them started off whenever they've been talking about their Corrie journeys, and Gail,
She's 17 or something.
Yeah, how many marriages has Gail had?
She's been married 6 times, but 5 husbands, because she married Brian twice.
Well done.
He does it just like that. It's like breathing.
I know.
His Corrie knowledge is just like me breathing. It's amazing. Mind you, I didn't realise that...
I didn't realise she'd that many.
I didn't realise that. I'm looking at Lucille Hewitt had a half-brother.
Yes.
Christopher.
Yes. Christopher Hewitt, yes. 1962 storyline was when he was actually kidnapped.
Oh, Andy, do you know, when's your book coming out?
Andy, I think
You've got to get a book, mate. This is unbelievable, but your enthusiasm, I can't think now. Let's think. It's got to be a book and then an audio commentary that's slipped in the back cover. There you go. You can have that concept
Andy,
for a
we find
£5.
you absolutely nearly more fascinating than the series, because just to actually sort of just spit it out just like that there, what the names and the dates are. So who's your favourite Corrie character at the moment?
At the moment, it's Carla Alison King, because her acting, again, I think, as one said to someone, she's the Pat Phoenix of today, acting-wise.
There's always been sort of like a Pat Phoenix, wasn't there? There's with Bette Lynch was almost like a Pat Phoenix type as well too, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. My favourite of all time is Pat Phoenix, Elsie Tanner.
Oh, I thought she was brilliant.
Really?
Yeah, no, I loved her. Yeah. That's my favourite.
Did you never sample Betty's hot pot?
I have.
Don't. Now
Yes.
get out of town. What are you making that up? Really?
I believe it.
We had an event where Curly Watts made a visit to the tour. Eventually had Hot Pot in the Rovers, made by the real-life husband of Fizz.
Oh.
Oh, well,
I love that name, Fizz. I've got a friend called Fizz as well.
I'm just going to end on that. I think I'm going for a lie down now. I can't cope with all this cleverness.
I have one. Ina Sharples had a grandson.
Oh, go on then.
Yeah, played by,
Davy Jones from the Monkees.
Yeah,
He
Colin Lowe.
was.
Yes.
Yes, I remember
I
that.
was a major Monkees fan. I was at school. I was 15. Monkees was doing, had just hit. Were knocking stuffing out of the Beatles at the time. So I didn't. I sort of missed. I was a year too young to sort of become a real Beatles fan. But I was the year the Monkees really were coming out, and I was fixated with them. And Davy Jones was the only English out of the band, the English boy,
Yep.
and he had played. He actually was a training to be a jockey, but in his early days, he ended up being on Coronation Street, and he was Ina Sharple's grandson.
You was.
That
You're
was
quite
that
right.
was my total contribution.
As soon as you said...
It actually said that more people get fascinated more by the fact it was in Corrie rather than the Monkees. It goes, sold so many million records as well, but people say, you in Coronation Street? Oh my God,
Yeah, it's. I tell you what, Andy, it's a bigger medal to wear. Being
It
on
is.
Corrie, that's your medal.
How do you keep up with all this stuff? Like, do you just must avidly watch? Do you have to write down things to remember them? Because as you get older, start forgetting things.
Well, I run a little fan page on Facebook, and today I've finally finished. I've been doing 60 days, 60 characters, a biography of a different character.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So I've been looking up, and I'm always learning new stuff.
Really.
I always like to look at research or look in the many books that I have. But I'm always learning new different facts. Like maybe it's the first of this, first of that, or when they were born. So I do enjoy always learning new stuff. I think if I knew absolutely everything, my head would explode.
Oh, you got it. No, you got to do.
Yes, you've got to
do
dump
the
it
book,
off
mate.
somewhere.
You got to do the book, mate. You got to. I mean,
I know.
tell us when it's happening. We'll talk
Yeah,
some more.
I've got your title for you as well. My Life with Corrie. Yeah, there's it.
Yeah.
This is your life.
This is. Oh, I know. That's already been done.
No. This is Andy's life, and it's in Corrie.
Andy's life in Corrie.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh,
Andy, you've been fabulous to talk to. How do you know our Gemsa, by the way?
Hi, Gemma. Hi. I've worked together at the tour. I remember one day, because I don't know if you know this, Gemma absolutely loves Anton Deck. And I remember one day
Useful knowledge.
If you remember this, I brought Gemma an I'm a Celebrity book, because I know she loves Anton Deck. I don't know if she's listening. I hope she remembers that.
Oh, good for you. Well done. Oh, but it's always good to have some good, useful information like that. We have an Anton Deck here at the studio. At least we did have. Yeah, there were both guys were around.
well, we have a hinge and bracket here.
Jeff and I are referred to as hinge and bracket.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I know, and that my corset still chafes. Andy, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much for talking to us.
We've talked to you way past when we should have done, Andy.
We have.
It's been absolutely fabulous talking to you. Thank you for spending so much time with us this morning.
It was worth
You're very welcome. Thank
it
you.
was worth the scary car drive with Mary this morning just to talk to you. Thanks, Andy.
Andy, if there's another big story, I'll keep your number. Can I come back and talk to you about it?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Oh,
Very much.
you're a wee darling. Thank you so much, Andy. We're going to play a Christine Aguilera, the Christmas song, especially for you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers, Andy.
Bye, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Did you enjoy that, though?
I did.
Well, you know, every
did.
now and again, there's some real genius people come along, and Andy is definitely one of those people, isn't he? Like, he's just... You know, it's a great story, but to hear somebody that enthusiastic, and whenever he can just spit out the dates and the names just like that.
He's reliably knowledgeable.
He's very,
yeah,
very...
I mean, you could listen to him. You could throw anything at him, and because he's been living it for so long that it's a part of his life, and he's proud of it. But, you know,
he's every right to be proud of it.
He wants more.
Yeah.
You can tell in his voice.
Yes, he can.
He wants to be immersed far more than he even is now.
We should write to Corrie and say, give him that. So he's sitting in the pub or something.
I think we just... he would like to be an official on-site archivist.
Yes.
Well, why not?
Well, there is one as a job, but he's getting... I think Gemma made some references, or he's cracking on a bit, let's just say. So, you know...
Is he?
First, yeah, he's an older guy now. So maybe if he retires, you know, there's somebody in the wings who's more than capable and competent.
He sounds a About 18.
if you had a dinner party, he looks
Yeah.
about 18 as well too. If you had a dinner party, he's somebody I would want to have as my guest for the night, because you're going to have, other than the fact that he's not going to get eating.
No, he's never going to put a piece of food in his mouth, because it's just going to raise the fork to his mouth, and someone's going to say,
got a question.
"You know that character?" And he goes, "Yes." It says, "Well, who was she related to?" And the fork will stay there, hovering near his mouth, but on it, whatever it is, it'll have gone cold by the time he gets
off.
to.
But the thing is, like, what he put, it's your memories that come flooding back, and it's just the memories of the show. It's your life at that time. I think that's what's the fascinating thing with it. It's you, where you were whenever you were watching it. Like that, straight away, I was back with my sisters, and just three little girls sitting on the sofa watching this with the TV being our babysitter while Mummy and Daddy were working downstairs.